Hello, I'm Asma JERRAY. I'm a PhD student and I'm working with the LAND team. Here I will start with a small presentation about my academic background. In 2017, I graduated a one-year master in sustainable agriculture from the Agronomic Institute of Chania in Greece. After that, I wanted to acquire more knowledge in the field of agroecology. So I applied for a master in France in agroparisitech together with Lorraine University, and it's about agronomy, environment, territories, landscape, and forest with a main focus on agriculture and forest ecosystem. About my master thesis, I studied the effect of land use intensity on soil microbial biomass carbon, and it was a meta-analysis. The thesis was funded by the European project called Crop, and I did it at Unilassal Polytechnic Institute. So moving now to my PhD project, I started the PhD in January 2021. So at this level, I did literature reading and I started to design my experimental part. So my PhD project is entitled as the trade-off between increased soil carbon sequestration and nitrous oxide emission in managed cropland and grassland system. And it's funded by the LAND project and supervised by Mr. Shabi Abad from INRAE Ecosis Grignon and co-supervised by Ms. Massad and Mr. Leroux. Moving now to the context of the PhD thesis. So the advances made in the industry and agriculture sector increased greenhouse gas emission dramatically. The scheme in the right shows the share of agriculture and forest from the global greenhouse gas emission, and it's about 24% from the global emissions. Aligned with this idea, Hutchison et al. Reported that agricultural activities alone are responsible for 70% of nitrous oxide emission, 50% of methane, and 25% of carbon dioxide emission from the global anthropogenic emissions. So, there is an increasing concern from the international community about the increase of greenhouse gas emission. So there is a political, environmental, and agricultural pressure in order to store carbon dioxide in the soil to mitigate global change and climate change. Among those initiatives, I cite the French initiative 4 per mile, launched in 2015 during COP21, and it's basically a soil-based greenhouse gas mitigation initiative that tend using agricultural best practices as mean to mitigate climate change through carbon sequestration while ensuring food security. So yeah, carbon sequestration is very good. It helps with tackling climate change, but recent studies has reported that soil organic carbon storage can promote higher emission of nitrous oxide, which offset the benefit of soil organic carbon storage in the soil. So there is an urgent need to evaluate the trade-off between carbon sequestration and nitrous oxide emission, and to assess that simultaneously, the carbon storage and the greenhouse gas emission. The scheme in the left is a pulley with different weights, with soil organic carbon being heavier in the soil, nitrous oxide being lighter and emitted in the environment. So about this gas, the nitrous dioxide is a potent gas with a global warming potential of around 300 times that of the carbon dioxide, and it causes stratospheric ozone depletion. About the main sources of the nitrous oxide emission, it's related mainly to the microbial production processes in the soil, like nitrification and denitrification processes, and it's related also to land management, because cultivated soils contribute of around 60% of the contemporary nitrous oxide increase, and this increase comes mainly from the cultivated soil that receive not nitrogen fertilizer, giving the example of grassland, that it's very needy in terms of nitrogen fertilizers. For example, it needs at some extent around 360 kilograms per hectare of nitrogen fertilizers. So moving now to the objectives of my PhD, the global objective is to analyze how the varying level of carbon content with a varying quality and quantity under cropland and grassland system affect nitrous oxide emission. For the specific objectives is to assess the relationship linking the different microbial functional groups responsible for the soil nitrous oxide emission and the soil carbon quantity and quality. Also to study the variation of nitrous oxide emission at a smaller scale, which will allow to determine if increased soil carbon is associated with increased nitrous oxide emission, and how this can change with land management and environmental factors. So moving now to the position of my PhD project on the sea land challenges. So my PhD subscribed under the challenge 1, land-based climate mitigation, and the goal of this challenge is to evaluate the land-based climate mitigation options on different aspects: climate, greenhouse gas emissions, economical cost, etc., and to see how the land-based mitigation options are integrated into national determined contributions. The project is mainly related to the research line 1 and 2. For the research line 1, it's about reviewing and designing a global and regional land-based mitigation scenarios. Its purpose is to review the different types of land-based mitigation measures incorporated in the future climate scenarios. So for my PhD, I will be producing a new knowledge or processes that can be included into prediction models. So for the research line 2, it's about the multi-criteria assessment of selected land-based mitigation measures, and it focuses on the environmental and ecological impact of the developing a land-based mitigation. So through that, I will be evaluating a grassland management in an integrated system to reduce the potential of greenhouse gas emission. And it's mainly about the carbon storage in the soil versus the nitrous oxide emission. So this is it for now. I'm so excited to work with the Sealand team and to start my experimental part, and I will be reporting my results in future videos. But until now, here are some articles that can help you to know more about carbon storage and nitrous oxide emission. Thank you for your attention.